were in spin down operations. We were ready to pack up the sunset, the clothes, and be gone. But this young lady was saying, no, not yet. We can still do it. But we said, look, honey, the funding is not here. The money is running out, so we're not going to just be running with no funding. And she and her staff got aggressive, became really aggressive going after grants. In the last 2 years, we've actually received more money in outside grants than we've had from the federal government. So somewhere between about $2.5 to $3 million. At this point, we'd like to bring to the podium our CEO and our president that's out there, Marshall Richardson.
Good afternoon. I truly too am overwhelmed by the response. I was saying that to Julie and Peter when I came in. I went for some notifications to meet with us this afternoon. I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen, and it just kept coming. Truly, I just want to thank you for being here this afternoon. First, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for supporting me during this past year, which has been a difficult one for me. Some may know I lost my husband earlier this year, and some may not know. But because of your words of encouragement, your gestures of kindness, it truly has made each day much, much easier as they go by. So I definitely thank you for that. But with that, I count it a privilege to stand before you on this occasion for 6 years of service by Empowerment Haven to the City of New Haven, the Empowerment Zone communities, and the Empowerment Zone residents. It is our mission to facilitate and create practices and processes that provide sustainable measurable improvements in the economic status and quality of life of individuals, families, and businesses in the empowerment zone. Truly, to whom much is given, much is required. In spite of the reduced much, it has not kept us from striving to meet the requirements set forth and by Empowerment Haven. And at Empowerment Haven, we recognize, myself, the staff, and the board, that we are not an island unto ourselves. For if it had not been for each of you, our institutional partners, our elected officials, community and vendor partners, assisting us, collaborating with us, supporting us, and most of all, enduring and persevering with us in trying and lean times, we would not be celebrating this significant milestone in the agency's history. Through our home power partners and programs, we have assisted over 100 individuals in becoming first-time home buyers, as well as improved and enhanced over 100 properties through our emergency repair and Living Beautiful programs. So I applaud each of you. First, the staff of Empowerment Haven. I constantly say Empowerment Haven is not a one-woman show. It is a team of 12, and I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge those who work so hard on behalf of Empowerment Haven. So if they could all kind of stand, because you probably hear their names and don't see their faces. So Faye Wilson, Faye is my executive assistant. Bernardo Rodriguez is our chief fiscal officer and does a phenomenal job. Tom Fickman is our chief information officer, who's running around. Sherry Gray was our community development administrator. Sherry. Sherry herself is an Empowerment Zone resident who's gone from working with us as a receptionist to now running one of our most successful programs, and now herself has become a first-time home buyer, so she truly is a success story for us. Alejandra Silva, she's our program manager for the New Haven Academy. She has been instrumental in the grants we've gotten. Alejandra? Is she? Jacana Soul, who is our New Haven Saves coordinator, who came to us first as an intern. Rosa Dahlberry. Rosa is our home power and housing coordinator. Kevin Moody, who is definitely instrumental to us. He's our administrative support staff. Eunice Bonilla, who's the first voice you hear when you call Empowerment Haven. And Mama Bond, who has truly been a blessing to our agency, is our bookkeeper and business assistant. Ms. Carla Bragg, who is our economic development administrator. And the newest addition to the Empower New Haven family is Marquita McEllier, who is the program associate for the New Haven nonprofit. I also would like to thank the board of directors. You truly have been a great support and strength for me. You've challenged me, you've tried me, but you have also went along, and when I said we can, you definitely have my back, and I definitely want to say thank you. I definitely want to thank all of our vendor partners, our supporting institutional partners, most importantly, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is HUD, the Connecticut Field Office of HUD, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the United Way, Yale, United Illuminating Community Foundation, DECD, Citizens Bank, New Alliance Bank, Bank of America, and the Casey Foundation, the mayor, the board of aldermen, our elected officials. I want to thank State Rep Tony Walker for being with us today, Congresswoman DeLauro, Senator Joe Lieberman, Senator Chris Dodd in the state of Connecticut. I truly want to thank you for your support. Together we have done more with less. We have kept New Haven in the top 3 cities in the state in the number of annual home purchase transactions, accounting for over 200 purchase transactions in the empowerment zone and increasing the empowerment zone home purchase market from nearly 9 million in 1998 to nearly 30 million in 2004. Most importantly, we have helped to stabilize neighborhoods once forgotten, restored vitality and life to communities once counted out. But most importantly, we have impacted individuals and families for generations to come. So today I say thank you, we applaud you, and acknowledge all of your efforts for making the empowerment zone a place where individuals and families can live, grow, and make their dreams come true. Thank you. Yes, you can please go ahead and eat. We're going to move the program along. I see everyone sitting there. Please eat. But we're going to keep the program along because we are on a limited time schedule. With that said, we will now have this beautiful young lady come before us who will read a proclamation from and on behalf of the mayor, the secretary for the board of directors for New Haven, and the community services administrator for the city of New Haven, Ms. Sheila Abdel.
Thank you, Althea. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, I guess I'm the only one that's not overwhelmed by this turnout. I would not expect anything less for Empower New Haven. You know, it's a pleasure to work with them now. The storm has passed over. You all remember the storm? There are clear skies up above, and we are accomplishing so much in Empower New Haven. They have very visible programs that are helping some of our most vulnerable residents in the city. 2 of my favorites, Home Power, and the other one is the Career Ladder Gateway in Allied Health and Registered Nursing. These are programs that people have taken advantage of, and I think the first year was sort of experimental for us, and we know that we're going to have to tweak them. But it's something that you can see, and I think that's due in part to, in great part to our leader, Althea, and the leadership and direction provided by the board chair, Danny Newell. I have a proclamation I'm going to read back because I could go on and on. Celebrating Empower New Haven's 6th year of investing in Empowerment Zone residents. Whereas Empower New Haven began in 1998 when a coalition of residents, business, and institutions joined together to apply for Empowerment Zone status, which was awarded in 1999, and whereas in its 6 years, Empower New Haven has created and run a number of programs aimed at providing sustainable improvements in the quality of life and economic health of the Empowerment Zone's residents and businesses, and whereas through Home Power programs, Empower New Haven has helped over 400 families on their way to buying their first homes or improving their housing, trained hundreds more in asset building, fiscal literacy, and home buyer education, and provided repairs to many homes through the emergency repair and New Haven Beautiful programs. And whereas Empower New Haven has made good jobs accessible for over 1,500 Empowerment Zone residents by assisting with transportation, job training, and job placement. And whereas Empower New Haven has served Empowerment Zone youth through the summer employment and IDA programs, which help youth to save money while learning about credit, budgeting, and becoming financially literate. Now therefore do I, as Mayor of the City of New Haven, thank the staff of Empower New Haven for the 6 years of invaluable service they have given to Empowerment Zone residents and businesses through their innovative programs, and take great pleasure in proclaiming congratulations for 6 years of success, dated at New Haven, Connecticut, this 12th day of December, 2005, John DeStefano Jr., Mayor. And I want to bring you greetings from the mayor and the city. He sends his regrets that he's unable to be here, but congratulations on all that you do, and thank you for all of your help.
Next, we will have a letter read from Congresswoman DeLauro by Mr. Bill Heinrich from her office. Truly, Congresswoman DeLauro has been on the battlefield for the Empowerment Zone. She is a voice down there on the floor, pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing for the continued support of the Empowerment Zone. We thank her so much for her support. Mr. Bill Heinrich.
Thank you, Althea. It's really a pleasure to work with everybody who works in the offices of Empower New Haven, and I really believe that much credit should go to its leadership, the board, and especially Althea, who set this very supportive and positive tone with everyone who comes through the door, making it a pleasure to work with them. Letter from Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro. Dear friends, marking a 6th year of success, I'm pleased to extend my sincere congratulations to all of you as you celebrate this remarkable occasion. In the last 6 years, the variety of programs and services that have been made available to Empowerment Zone residents have had a significant and positive impact on their lives. I've been so proud to work with you and look forward to continuing in these efforts. The partnerships that you have built through the city have enabled Empower New Haven to maximize your resources, providing a wide range of opportunities to residents of all ages, from home ownership to education, from job training to business growth incentives. This organization is a model of what the Empowerment Zone program was always meant to be. As most of you know, the funding for the Empowerment Zone program has been under attack for many years. It is the many successes that I have seen at Empower New Haven and the thousands of individuals and families that you have assisted in such a short time that gives me the strength and inspiration to continue fighting for this important funding. To me, it seems irresponsible for government to discard a program that is so obviously working well and making a difference in the lives of others. That is what responsible government is all about. I'm sorry I cannot join you today. Please accept my very best wishes for continued success. With warmest regards, sincerely, Rosa L. DeLauro, Member of Congress.
Moving along, we will now have our keynote speaker. We truly are so glad to have her here with us today. Our luncheon speaker today is Ms. Julie Fagan, the Field Office Director for the Connecticut Office for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Julie is currently the director there in Hartford. She has previously served as the director of the Salt Lake City Field Office and as the national director overseeing the Public and Assisted Housing Drug Elimination Program in Washington, D.C. She also served on the senior management team for Governor Roy Romer of Colorado. Julie has 14 years experience at HUD and 15 years experience in local, state, and federal management. She holds a Master of Public Administration degree from Brigham Young University. Julie and her husband, Jack, are the proud parents of 5 wonderful children. Please put your hands together and welcome Mr. New Haven.
It's so great to be here in New Haven. You know, New Haven is known for a number of things. Pizza, one of the poorest cities in the nation, one of the lowest home ownership rates in the nation. However, we also know it for all of the great things that are happening in New Haven to address those issues. And I'm going to recognize that a little bit later. But when I think of New Haven, I do think of all the great things that are happening, the many things that are happening, and the people in this room that make that difference. And when I look around the room, and I've met so many people from so many different venues in housing today that work with all of the divisions at HUD. Not just home ownership, but the CPD, the multifamily, doing all types of housing for today. And it just feels wonderful to sit in your midst and to be surrounded by those who do all the work. I'm going to hit on some of the priorities of the administration and some of the things that have happened with the budget, and then get back and talk about some things that need to be done at the local level. As you know, homeownership rate has hit an all-time high across the nation. We're at just under 70% for the populace. 70% of households actually own homes. However, those numbers can be very deceiving, because if you look to the minority households in this nation, we're just at 50% of minority households that own their home. The other void is in our inner cities, where we find that in urban areas, the homeownership rate is much less, like we see here in New Haven. So there are places that we need to do a lot of work. There are targeted populations that we need to serve and do outreach for. And the administration has started a number of initiatives to do that. Under the American Dream Down Payment Act, there have been $161 million allocated to over 400 communities across the state, across the nation. New Haven is one of those. Actually, in Connecticut, we had 5 jurisdictions that were allotted money to provide assistance for down payment assistance to help people get into their homes for the first time. New Haven has been successful and has now received those dollars for multiple years. We actually have 2 jurisdictions, because they did not perform in that program, have actually lost their money and did not receive money this last year. So that speaks highly to New Haven, who along with Hartford have been producing in home ownership, revitalizing homes, preparing people for home ownership, and bringing them online. In the state last year, we received $625,000 that came in to help people with their down payment and buy that first home. Another investment the department has made nationally is we have increased the amount of housing counseling proceeds that go out to jurisdictions. And we have funded last year over $40 million in grants to help people receive housing counseling. Across the state, we have housing counseling agencies, just like here in New Haven, that are doing phenomenal things in helping people address credit issues, helping them identify appropriate lending practices so that they're not victims of predatory lending, helping them prepare and save for the first home, and to make savings accounts and investments so that they can. In our Hartford field office, we actually have invested our marketing and outreach dollars, and we've changed what used to be FHA ads that just advertised FHA as a product. We changed it and targeted minority newspapers across the state and included housing counseling as the 800 number that people were tied to, so that it wasn't just advertising HUD or FHA, but it was tying anyone who saw that ad into the housing counseling agencies across the state, so they were making that next step into home ownership. The administration also sees that there are other things that need to be done to target home ownership. One is that we need to have more affordable an initiative, and their home ownership tax credit has been initiated in Congress, and it has a huge sponsorship on both sides of the aisle. That would allow 50% tax credit to investors who build single-family affordable housing. And so that program is going forward right now. They're concerned and they're looking at, in the debates, with the default rates that we have across the nation. And here in Connecticut, quite frankly, this last year, we've had one of the hugest default rates on mortgages that we've seen in many years. Again, we haven't seen those houses go to foreclosure, however, because in our heart market, sometimes they sell. But we also have housing counseling agencies that are stepping up and helping people maintain their homes so that they can stay where they are. So the foreclosure rates have not been as high as the default rates. The other product that HUD is bringing online is what is known as a zero-down mortgage product, which again would allow people to get into their home if they can demonstrate credit, if they can demonstrate that they can in fact make payments, they've got good payment history, and they would not be required to put down a down payment. And that product is being authorized, and again, we're tracking default rates across the country to see if that will be implemented. Another initiative that the department has gone forward with is Americans Affordable Communities Initiative. Actually, 10 years ago, the department issued a study to find out what were the obstacles to having affordable housing across the nation. Why is it we didn't have affordable housing coming online? And there were a number of issues that were found at the local level. A lot of ordinances were actually contrary to bringing affordable housing in. Zoning was restricted. The cost to bring the improvements of land were restricted. The cost of fees and the processing time that it took would actually add to the cost and would stop affordable housing in its tracks. Well, we repeated that study this last year, and we found that many of those obstacles are still in place. That in fact it adds 35% to the cost of affordable housing in some jurisdictions because of the obstacles that cities have in processing and the restrictions on zoning and other mechanisms. And so we put out that study and the types of things that cities and states can do to help promote and to reduce the obstacles to affordable housing in their jurisdictions. In addition to that, we have put out a number of initiatives to help promote what affordable housing is. One of the issues that we have is a lot of stigma around affordable housing. And so we have put out a national campaign that talks about affordable housing. What is it? What does it look like? Who lives there? That we need it even to keep the workforce in our cities and in our neighborhoods. And so we've issued publications. We have put an exhibit on tour across the nation that was here in Hartford. We've been promoting what is available. We've also issued a clearinghouse. What part of the solution are you? And this is actually a clearinghouse that talks about the regulations that are restricting affordable housing and what are the solutions, what's being done across the nation to help address affordable housing, to help communities bring affordable housing in. Now, some examples of some of the things that have happened. Here in New England, I just pulled a couple. In Maine, the town of New Brunswick permitted 2 additional housing units per the affordable nature, so that they would add to any issuance of a permit, a rewriting of the zoning of the ordinance if they would put 2 units that were targeted to affordable housing in those lots or property. Also in Burlington, they did a similar thing, that they required an inclusionary zoning ordinance that mandates that affordable housing be included in all developments of 5 units or more. And that they would also issue a density bonus, that developers who added affordable housing as part of their developments, they would actually give them a bonus in the number of units they could put on site under the zoning ordinance. And it would vary depending upon the district they were in, but that bonus would be 15 to 25% increase in the number of units allowed on allotment of land if it was targeted to build affordable housing. We've seen changes here in Connecticut. Stanford has done a number of things to bring in creative incentives and to make properties more affordable, to reduce the restrictions in processing so that it doesn't take as long to get developments underway. One of the things that we're running up against in the federal budget, of course, is that we're seeing cuts across the board. We are seeing some programs have been targeted for elimination. It was no secret this last year, the CDBG, which is really the background for infrastructure, and we're working in a number of properties, whether it's a 202, we don't have a 202 program coming online in the state that doesn't have CDBG programs tied to it. We don't have a large number of our developments, home ownership and likewise, have CDBG programs tied to it. Well, it was recommended in the budget that that program be eliminated, and there was a rally cry across this nation that was heard, and Congress took a position and said, this program will stand, and it will stay at HUD. And Congress has spoken, and as the Secretary says, the person who holds the purse strings, they rule. It's that old cliche. And Congress has spoken, and the program will stay at HUD. Now, we've been asked to potentially look at some changes in that program, and we're doing that. We're exploring that. But as for now, the CDBG program will stay there as a support to affordable housing programs. One of the issues we're up against in the budget that is also not a secret is that the Section 8 program is literally eating up the department's budget. 5 years ago, Section 8 funding took up 36% of our budget. It's over 50% right now in this current year. So in a 5-year time frame, again, as the cost of the subsidy in those rental properties has increased over that 5-year period, it has really absorbed the budget. And we're at a point that it's starting to actually encompass so much of the budget that it's starting to absorb and take away from the other programs that we have. So as a result of that, Congress has mandated that there be changes in the program. And the administration has called for the flexible voucher program to be implemented. That program would allow more flexibility to housing authorities. It would not target them and require restrictions on just addressing the lowest population, that they could do more in varying the targets that they outreach to and place within their properties to make them more viable, consequently bringing more resources in. That program, we're also looking at changes, and we're not just waiting for the law to change, but we're looking at changes in regulations, and we're issuing some changes that are going forward and will be out shortly in that program. I want to speak a little bit to some other affordable housing initiatives that I see around the room that are part of the partnerships that are here. Section 202 has been a huge success in the state and here in New Haven. And assisted living conversion programs to help the elderly have been a huge success in New Haven. Those programs, we're about to make some announcements, and you'll see that once again Connecticut has we're doing very well when it comes to funding in this area. It also speaks well to the faith-based community because every 202 we have in this state has been developed and sponsored by faith-based initiatives. So it speaks well to that community. This week, the department is going to announce our continuum of care funding. And we always do well in that program, but it's also a program that has grown immensely. And we had over, 78, almost 80 applicants in this state alone this year. That's a huge increase in the work that's going on in communities, but also in the work that we have to do in processing it. Those are just some of the highlights of what's going on. But one of the things that I want to speak to and empower New Haven is that the program here is actually doing what was intended. There's $25 million from HUD that has gone in that program since 1999. But that was never meant to be the entire program. From the beginning, that was to leverage partnerships, and to leverage resources, and to multiply the effect that could take place. It was to create partnerships that people could team up at the local level, that we could team up with you at the local level to make things happen. Just in the last month, I just looked around the room and I noticed we had a property at Hut that was going to foreclosure, that we were going to lose. It was going to be sold on the market. We contacted Wendy Clark at the city and we said, Wendy, we don't want New Haven to lose this. This could potentially sell to the private sector. This could possibly, go outside of the partnerships you have in New Haven. And Wendy stepped right up to the plate and we agreed to announce that bid or that foreclosure sale, make it available to nonprofits so that it could continue to be run by nonprofits. That was sold successfully and we've transferred the property and that will be maintained here as affordable housing. But the partnerships that have been done here with Empower New Haven, the types of outreach that has been done has created funding that multiplies itself times over. And that's what HUD looks to invest in. We look at where can the dollars go that they will be leveraged? Where can the dollars go that partnerships will be created? That it will create a domino effect across the community. And where can they go that it will be a comprehensive approach that not only will help people prepare themselves for homeownership, but will put in place mechanisms that they have jobs, that they have support systems, that neighborhoods are renewed, that they have places to live in that become neighborhoods, that they want to be a part of, that you want to be a part of. And that's what we recognize here in New Haven with this program. If you look around the room, all of you, and not only what Empower New Haven has done and the hundreds of people that they have touched, but multiply that by all of your partnerships and the outreach that you do and the population that we serve, it's far greater than we can see in this room. That's why we're all in this business. We're in this business to make a difference in our neighborhoods, and to make a difference in the individuals we serve. And we have had a proud stand behind you and with you to make sure that that happens. I want to recognize Empower New Haven for all that you do, but all of you in the room as partners, because you are making a difference in the state of New Haven for yourselves and the neighbors we serve.
A few minutes to go ahead and eat and enjoy your food and talk a little bit amongst yourselves, and then we'll come back shortly to the rest of the meeting.